It's that time of the week again. And it's Diana time. Stripped these heads down, largely because I was concerned about the state of the valves and the seats, because of the overload on the hydraulic tappet, the preload being wrong. I was just a bit worried, so it takes half an hour to pull these things apart. And I've got them all here. It's only the exhaust valves that are showing any real signs of fatigue. The rest of this thing is actually, is nicely done. The guides all appear to be new. The seats all appear to have been well cut. So all I've really done is recut the exhaust seats. That's number one. The inlet seats are all, I literally just wiped that off and it's in really good order. So I'm inclined actually just to pop the inlet straight back in. There's no sign of any burning on any of these inlets. That's just oil all over that. Now I'll show you one that's clean. They're in good order. That can go back on. So just going to finish off with a fine cut on the exhaust seats, then this thing can go back together again. I've never ever noticed one where they've skimmed it so much that they're actually taking off material on the bottom of the inlet. Have you? Answers below on the postcard. But yeah, someone went fucking nuts on this thing, didn't they? I don't know why, but they have. Anyway, composite gasket will get me where I need to be. Now, all of the inlet valves have got a deep dish on them. I haven't actually looked at the pistons. The pistons should have a really deep dish on them, because we're talking low compression on this engine. You can't see, but I can feel it, and yes, there is. Obviously, the more you've got in the combustion chamber, available in the combustion chamber, the lower the compression is going to be. But yeah. So this is pretty much as it came off. I've given it a little bit of a wipe over and then gone round the ports in here. There was a bit more carbon in here, but it's very, very, very soft carbon. And I was able just to wipe it out more than anything else. So you can see that the engine has had some work done on it. Alas, they didn't do the hydraulic tappet preload, but never mind. I can get it all back together again. There we go. And then this one, this is the other head. I've got one exhaust stud bolt that's broken off in the head. I can't get that moving, so before I kind of resort to drilling, I'm going to have a chat with the machine shop, because I need to go up there anyway. He might have an induction heater that will get that fucker out. Right, let's get this back together again and ready to go on the engine then. Just bits of paper and stuff in here as I go around, but it's all right. Nice enough head, just overly skimmed. Right, we're in the rundown towards gin o'clock on Friday. It's currently 5:25. I'm going to put these valves back in. There's a fair amount of oil kicking around in here, so I'm going to work from, this is where it kind of helps. So I've marked up this edge with F for front. So put the valve back into the right seat is always good. First valve is exhaust. Now, this engine, when I pulled it apart, had valve stem seals on most of the valves. And my understanding is, on these early V8 engines, that the valve stem seals were really more applicable to the inlet valves, because they prevented the oil coming down the valve stems on the suck phase of the suck, squeeze, bang, blow part of the combustion process. So because I haven't got enough to go around, and pretty much no Rover V8 prior to SD1 actually had valve stem oil seals, I'm going to concentrate on putting them on the inlet, the ones that I've got that are any good. And these mega early ones, they're just a flat washer. That's all they are. And I guess it just, any oil that's going to get drawn down the valve stem, it kind of goes around. I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. You can see this is an inlet valve, and the valve seat on that is nicely cut. I haven't done anything with it other than just give it a quick wipe over. But that can go in there. It's valve stem. Pardon me, hickety up at his oil seal, and then springs go over the top. Boing, said to Zebedee. Make sure I haven't got 2 valve stems in there. No, I haven't. That goes in. And spring compressor needs to go onto the valve head. It is compressy collets and springs, valves, collets, collet heads, everything is going back into the same position from whence it come. Now, while these springs look dirty and grubby, they're actually in fairly good order. So again, I think that this thing had a fairly thorough build. I'm not going to dig any further into this engine. Quite why the camshaft was showing signs of wear, I don't know. But otherwise, it's actually, you know, fairly good. It's one of the exhaust valves you see I've cut nicely. That bastard can go back in there, along with the springs. Low seal. Oh, oh, oh. And let's pop him on there. These Rover V8s, they're ever so bloody easy to work with. They really are. Quite enjoyable process, really. Right, a couple of collets. And there's the other one. Get your cloth back, which fell on the floor. Wipe your hands, chuck the cloth away because it's been on the floor. Inlet valve, that's got a bit of detritus on it. Just, there is some carbon on the tops of the inlet valves, but the seats are actually in really good order and shiny, which is why I'm not recutting the inlet valves. You can see on this, I don't know if you can see, there's a really, you can sort of see, really wide shiny band on there indicating that the seat is well cut and well interfacing. I wasn't getting that quite so much on the exhaust valves, because obviously the exhaust valves have the joy of passing hot combustion gases. Right, there's the stem seal, because we're now working on an inlet valve. Inlet valves, whew. Exhaust valve, exhaust valve, exhaust valve, exhaust valve. Ever so easy to work it out, chaps. You just have to look. If you're hard of thinking, then perhaps you don't want to be doing this job, but I think most people are more than capable of doing basic cylinder head activities such as this. And it saves you money. Oops, just have a bottle of water. Collets, spring retainers, whatever you want to call them. These in. Nicely done. Another inlet. Just give him a quick wipe just to make sure I'm happy with him. Yep. Dead shiny. Beautiful. Nice big wide shiny band around that valve. No issues at all. Just wasting my time by putting cut and paste on that. And then the other thing I do is just check for play in the stem with the valve closed and then the valve partially open. Not so worried about play in the stem with the valve partially open, but kind of, you really don't want play in them. There is an acceptable tolerance. You don't want to feel it slapping around like a dick in a bucket. Oh, guess what we forgot? Some chit-chatting to you, good folk. It's not a disaster if you forget the valve stem oil seals, to be honest. If your engine's breathing properly, i.e. not breathing too heavily, and you haven't got a comedy carburettor on there which hasn't got the crankcase pressure taken into consideration, then you're not going to have problems with this. Standard Strombergs, even SU, HIF carburetors, they breathe with these things really well. And just connect the breathers up to the carburetors, and any kind of crankcase pressurization you're going to get ain't going to happen. You can see the effect of it. if you basically just plug one of the breathers up on one of the heads and run the engine, you'll see the oil just pouring in plumes of blue smoke out the exhaust. And that's what happens when you haven't got the breather set up correctly. Right, now we've got exhaust. Exhaust reporting. Springy, springy. Quality, quality. On. Nice valve stem seal. I think if you've got the kind of the washers, if they come in your pack, put them on every single valve, but it's the inlet valves that you really need them for. And seeing as they didn't fit them at all when the engine was new, there's your answer. You can, if you ever get the valve guides replaced, you can put later valve guides, post 1976 valve guides, I don't know, speak to your machine shop, which will take the push-on, clip-on oil seals, valve stem oil seals, and then of course you just then put them on every single cylinder. It's just going to make it a little bit cleaner, but up until that point I wouldn't worry about it. The last of the exhaust valves. Cylinder number, because this is the passenger side head, this is cylinder number 7. Let's just take this out. There's actually, believe it or not, wrapped up in the springs here, there is a broken stem seal. Yeah. I don't know. Exhaust valves, I wouldn't worry about them. Unless the engine's smoking excessively, in which case I'll be looking at the breathers first of all, or the cylinder leak bag. If you've got warm piston rings, putting valve stem oil seals on the cylinder head ain't going to fix your problem. Dun 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 dun. I'm sure there's going to be someone going absolutely berserk in the comments right now. How very dare you? Well, my engine, my rules. Right, let's just have a quick wipe around in here. All very nice. That's it, that's that one done. I'll give it a quick wipe over before it goes back into the engine, but until then, that can sit covered up, ready for installation. Right, done it. So put the composite gaskets in there, put 30 thou shims underneath the rocker pedestals rather than the 45 thous, because with the composite gaskets I was getting between 105 and 1/10 thousandths of an inch on every single one of the tappets. By putting the 30 thou shims in there, I was able to get that down to 55 to 60, which is the top end of the tolerance. I'm happy with that. So it's all been going back together again, slowly but surely. Carbs are on, as you can see, everything's torqued down. And the next thing I wanted to do was to sort out the exhaust manifolds. Now, the reason I wanted to sort the exhaust manifolds out is because all of the bolts on one of the manifolds were kind of very, very, very rusty and worn. As you can see, there's your spoiler. Yeah, great. Thanks for your contribution. And then on the other one of them went in at a right jaunty angle. That one was going that way, and this one was going that way. So I'm going to sort this out as well. I don't know how I'm going to sort it out, but I'm going to sort it out. I think someone's drilled it and basically bonded the studs in there, because I can't see any thread in there whatsoever. So this one might be needing some machine work. I'm sniffing because I'm allergic to tree pollen, I'm afraid. Oh, 1 second. Right, there you go. So I'm going to drill that. That one should come out fairly easy, because I think that was a fairly recent stud that went in there. I'll put a bit of heat on that and get some old moldies on that one, and it should come off. I don't know why it snapped really. It started to move and then it snapped. And I'm just using one of these bloody things. I generally find that when you get studs out, you can use the 2-nut method, and you can use all sorts of different methods, but invariably, if it ain't going to come out with one of those, it ain't going to come out. Yeah, that's the angle I was talking about with that one. Look at that. That's nice though, isn't it? Someone really has done a number on that. So I don't quite know where I'm going to go with it. Because basically, you can see the... If I get it level, so you can actually see what the fuck is going on here. That's the way gas can. There we go, that shows it. What the fuck? Yes. Ham-fisted gibbons have been there as well, and I think also we've got different threads. So that one looks like a metric thread stud to me, and that one looks like an imperial stud to me. So this needs some attention. I'll see if I've got another one of these in the unit. But I want to salvage this because it's a good-looking, original, nice, tidy manifold. It might just need some additional work doing to it. I don't know. Bigger stud, step stud. I don't know. I'll have to work it out. But if I can get him cleaned up, then I can work out what I'm going to do next. In the meantime, it's not as if there's not plenty of other work to do on this car. So Steve the Body's just been lobbing some primer on the external bits that I was prepping up the other day. Just really because he's always got primer in the gun. And for me to put primer in the gun to paint two tiny little things is just it's a faff. I mean, I did think about rattle canning them, but then I thought, oh no, Steve's always got primer in the gun. There you go. So I'm going to whiz up to see those in a minute. And if Steve's done that, all I need to do is prep and then top coat. But first, I've got to drill these bastards out. Oh, what a pain in the balls. There we go, driver's side one, I think is okay. I'll get some thread lock on each of these studs, but the studs are going in clean and they're not wobbly as they go in. So I'm fairly confident. So that was each old stud remain was drilled out, progressively getting up and up and up to a 7mm. And then I ran a 5/16. 5/16? Brain's gone blank here. Yeah, 5/16 fine tap through. My last resort is, had the UNF been, or the original style of studs been too tight, I could have gone for an M8 stud. I've only got one M8 stud though. So M8 is for the later twin port manifolds, but there's no reason why the stud won't work. So there is that. We could always put bolts in, I suppose, worst case scenario. But I think for this one, for the driver's side, I'm happy. The passenger side one is just turning into a bodge too far, this thing. It really is. It's all over the fucking place. So I'm going to start drilling some of these holes out and see where I can go with it. But that's taken me almost an hour to get that bastard done. Simplest jobs take the longest time, every bloody time. Right, so this is the passenger side or left side manifold. First of all, just checked it. There's no cracks on this thing anywhere, otherwise I just wouldn't be bothering to pursue with it. I've got one, so the only straight stud on the whole fucking thing I've managed to re-tap to a 5/16, but you can see it's wobbly all the way down to where the shoulder meets. So I've got no real faith in that gripping, so I think this one, if we go anywhere with it, it's going to be metric. I'm not in favour of using kind of, you know, JB weld and stuff like that on exhaust manifolds. It invariably fails. There are other products out there, but you know what I mean, the liquid metal products. I know it says you can tap them and so forth, but I've never had that much success in inlet manifolds. If anything, you kind of want someone with necessary skills to weld it, or I go metric. So the metric stud, bear in mind that's the imperial stud, go back in the imperial bag, let's get a metric stud out, and I could just get an M8 bolt, couldn't I? Again, that goes down quite a long way. I know it's a different thread, but that goes down quite a long way before it grips onto anything. This one is the one that goes in at a jaunty angle, and this one similarly goes in at a jaunty angle. Because basically what's happened is someone's tried to drill the studs out and drilled them on the piss. Now, if we look at this one here, you can actually see the remains of the stud down there on this edge here. Can you see? Is it in focus? It's not in focus. Let's go down close. Right, you can see the edge of the stud just on there. That's the original stud that would have been in there. So fuck knows. You can drill right up to the edge here. Yeah. Right, drilled them all out so they're all straight now. Basically, I think someone has used one of those kind of metal weld compounds in here, so perhaps it will fucking work. Anyway, I've got the original thread back on this hole, but as you can see, it's oval. I've got the original thread back on that hole, but again, it's oval, and this one I just think is too far gone for an imperial thread. There's also a crack starting to develop down the edge here, see? You see? Is it in focus? Focus, you bastard. Focus. Focus. There, there's a crack starting to develop along the edge there. You can see it down the outside as well, see? So, yeah, I might see if there's a better manifold available. Because I think this one's just going to be a compromise. Now, by the way, when you're doing one of these manifolds, make sure you take the old gaskets off. The gaskets sometimes come in multiple parts, and one that I just did just now, the other side, that wafer thin piece was still left on the manifold. It's not going to help it seal it against gases if you don't clean these faces up properly. No, wafer thin, thicker, metal recycle. Right. Yeah. Dunno. Dunno is the honest answer. Dunno, dunno, dunno. More silicone, folks. Yeah, and that's what's happened underneath it. So, oh dear, oh dear. I'm going to basically take the loose rust off here. There's a whacking great big plate underneath because the LPG producer, whatever it was, vaporizer thing was here. But all the way down here, there's a really, really thick bead of silicone all the way down to the front and down the back of the battery tray here as well. Now, the silicone came off quite easily, and basically there's rust underneath it. So this is the shit that was underneath. It all looked white and clean, exactly like this side does. It's like that. And the only reason I started picking at the edges of it was because I could see it had blown very, very slightly here. I thought, oh, what's that then? And the more I started to dig, the more I wish I hadn't. Fuck's sake. Anyway, I've got some rust treatment here. I'm just going to put the rust treatment over the top of it once I've got the remains of... Oh, it's straight through. Just got to get the loose rust off. Oh, fuck's sake. I can fix it. It's just, I wasn't anticipating it. I actually came in here to put the exhaust manifold on this side, which is what I came in here to do. I've been up to go and see the machine shop. He reckons that other manifold is just too far gone to do anything with. What have I done with it? Here it is. Because he said, while he could helicoil them and send them up, he'd need the downpipe so he makes sure he gets the studs in exactly the right place. But he said this one is far too close to the edge. He said he's never going to be able to do that. He said by the time he's done it, probably find it would be cheaper to buy a brand new one, let alone a used old stock part. So, thoughts on a postcard really about that. I'm going to basically see if I can fashion a bolt through, keep it nice and level and straight, put a blob of weld on the bolt here, not on the car, so that the bolt actually kind of stays in place. And I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. I can't see any other easy way I'm going to be able to do it, but in the meantime, I've just got myself distracted with yet another job. That's a big hole down here as well, look. Oh, fuck's sake. You know all that's going to get dug out over there as well, don't you? Well, I'm going to go with the rust cleaner. So basically, just pouring it in, and then I shall spread it around with a brush, which I've got here somewhere. There it is. It wants to go on quite thin, this stuff. You put it on too thick, then it doesn't actually cure or treat the rust. So what I've just poured in there is more than enough to do this entire area. And then I shall put a zinc rich primer over the top, and then gallons of silicone. I just want to, like, you know, just encase the entire car in silicone sealant. Poor Diana. There's more loose paint here, look. More loose paint. Let's just do this bit first of all, then I can come back and do the loose paint in a second. Poor car. What have they done to you, eh? This is all going to get cut out up here. That's going to have to be done properly. Getting a bit of the old Daily Mirror screwed up into a ball, bit of glass fibre over the top. That should do that nicely. Oh, God's teeth. Another big hole in the side there. No. I had silicone over it, obviously. A couple of repairs. I'm not taking the wings off this thing in order to do this. We'll call it a drain hole. Can't even get down there into that because there's more crap in there. Oh, fuck it. I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to have to get the air blower, the blowgun down there. Once this has all gone off. And then blast all the crap out. Let's see where we're going to go. See what happens. Because the wing is more than savable. I've seen far saved worse than this, as far as inner wings is concerned. But I think the trick here is actually just stopping it from getting any worse. This stuff all goes black when it's finished its curing kind of process. Nicely. Right, we've just got that done a little bit better anyway. So let me now, I'm going to put the bloody exhaust manifold on now, which is what I came over here to do. I'm very easy to distract, I really am. Oh, I got the back wing back on Diana. It's alright, fits nicely on the original bolt holes. You can see here that the rubber hasn't gone down fully yet. I still need to put the filler strip on the inside. I still need to secure this down. Now, I thought far more of the fixings had broken off this than I originally anticipated, but I've got 5 of them still there. 1, 3 are broken. But as you can see, quite a few of the holes have been they're no longer there, so I need to drill those through. I think what I might end up doing is putting the filler strip in first of all and get that sorted out. I want the tailgate on, I want this glass in. That's my job for the day. Oh yes. And all lines up very nicely. It certainly does. Oh, I got the back wing back on Diana. It's alright, fits nicely on the original bolt holes. You can see here that the rubber hasn't gone down fully yet. I still need to put the filler strip on the inside. I still need to secure this down. Now, I thought far more of the fixings had broken off this than I originally anticipated, but I've got 5 of them still there. 1, 3 are broken. But as you can see, quite a few of the holes have been they're no longer there, so I need to drill those through. I think what I might end up doing is putting the filler strip in first of all and get that sorted out. I want the tailgate on, I want this glass in. That's my job for the day. Oh yes. And all lines up very nicely. It certainly does. Let's get this done. And then once that's done, I can start fitting out all the trim on the doors, get the seats done, because all the glass will be in. Now, a lot of the brown stain that you can see over here on the side panel, that was because the top channel there had rotted out. It's no longer rotted out because you can see it's all been welded up by me. Absolutely. This side's all together, and this side really has just been going together today. Went together this morning because I was waiting for Justin to turn up. Justin, owner of Series 3, because Justin has bought the seats that go into the Lincoln Green Derelict. Now these are not Range Rover original seats. I don't know what they're out of. They kind of have a bit of a feel of 1970s, 1980s Mercedes to them. They're not particularly heavy. They're very well made. They're going to go back into it because I want to dress that car up, possibly for sale. I don't know yet. So he brought the seats over for me, which is very kind of him. Thank you, Justin. And also bought a load of the matting that was also in that car, floor matting. So I can really sort of assemble that car back from being a kind of an empty shell, more or less into being a complete car.